And we're in the home stretch of it, and we have a couple of terrific speakers joining us in that home stretch. The first one of those speakers is Brent Willis. He's the CEO of New Age Beverages Corp., and he's the former CEO of Cott and the former Chief Commercial Officer of Anheuser-Busch InBev. And Brent is here with a pretty clear message. The man's got a checkbook, and he's not afraid to use it. He's a longtime beverage executive, and 2 years ago, he combined the company behind the kombucha brand Bucha with a scrappy, well-known distribution company from Denver called New Age Beverage into a brand and distribution powerhouse. The company's quickly scooped up brands like Marley and Coco Libre to join existing brands like Zing and Aspen Pure. They've added a nutritional supplement group. And since Brent is not afraid to add to the platform, he's here to talk about how acquisition is playing a role in that platform's development. Please welcome Brent Willis.
So first, I want to offer my congratulations to the Showdown finalists and all the, smaller or startup beverage companies here. I know it's hard, and I faced the same situation about 15 months ago. Here's that scenario. We had one brand we couldn't make. It had 25 different ingredients coming from all over the world. Not a very good co-packer. Had a 16% gross margin. We had 4 people, one major customer driving like 80% of the revenue. It was a public company with no liquidity and a 19-cent stock, behind on payables for 90 days, no cash, and I said to my wife I wanted to take it over. She said, of course, you are bloody crazy. And oh, by the way, on the last 5 things you've done, you've lost about $10 million of your own money, so I'm not letting you put a penny in the damn thing. So what do you do? Well, I did it, obviously. What would you guys do? Anybody have an idea? That's the case. That's the real case. Anybody have a suggestion what you'd do in that context? Would you do it in the first place? Really? If you're a good entrepreneur, maybe. If you're a corporate type like I was, probably not a good idea. So what's the first thing you do? Do you innovate? What would you say? I think you evaluate the brand, but yeah, I think you also evaluate the whole context. You don't innovate, you don't acquire. I think you change the whole context. You say, kind of forget about that, but let's do the math and figure out what we can be the best in the world at. And change the vision and define a very clear opportunity instead of starting with the paradigm of what do you just have. And we did that, and we created a vision. And first we analyzed, we put it on a chalkboard or a whiteboard, and we analyzed where are we today, and then we said, where do we want to be? And we just said we're going to be the world's largest healthy functional beverage company because we could. We didn't see anybody else doing it, so we just established one vision. I remember doing the exact same thing at a small little Belgian beer company that for 600 years, since 1366, nobody had ever really heard of. We said we're going to be the world's largest beer company in 3 years, and we were. So we defined success, and then the next thing we had to do was align what success looked like, because it's one set of behaviors to get to a $2 million company or a $40 million company. It's a totally different set of behaviors, and if you're going to get to something with a B attached to it, kind of in the words of Cool Hand Luke, you got to get your mind right, and you got to be ready to embrace the grind. It is going to be 20 hours a day, nonstop. And then you just lay out your roadmap, and we did, looking at some acquisitions. And we expected when we started this vision that by the end of 17 we would be about 75 million. and that we would uplist onto a senior exchange. We kind of eclipsed that. And then from there, it's a bunch of organic growth activities, some cause campaign, and redefining our definition to be in line with our vision, and then a bunch of stuff that somehow Russian hackers got on there and hid those things of what we're doing next. But that takes us to our ultimate vision of what we want to do. So I think that's the plan. Forget about innovation versus acquisition. Define what you can be best in the world at. Develop a very clear, simple, and executable plan, and then just do it. And as a result, I was going through these numbers with our board a couple weeks ago. So we're now the 54th largest beverage company. We're the 8th largest healthy beverage company from very inauspicious start about 12 months ago. And we've grown about 1,700% in the last year. And true story, I have changed about 150 diapers in the past 8 weeks because we have a new baby at home. My wife calls bullshit on that last number, but I know it's true. But that's kind of the end result, and really the end result of how we did this was we started with Bucha. We also had a small little brewing company. I sold that off to pay off the debt for Bucha. Got lucky because I had just enough synergies to get U.S. Bank to fund the merger, and then you did the typical private equity douche thing of leveraging the hell out of balance sheets and putting as much debt on the thing as you can. And then you have a great situation, right? You've got scale, you got $45 million of revenue, but then you got to integrate. You have to put in the operating values. You have to put in the new compensation systems. You have to get the right people. And then you're in a great situation. You got scale, but then on a $45 million business, you're stuck with $22 million of debt, right? So then what do? Well, you solve the problem. You do the math. And so we then uplisted onto the NASDAQ, got rid of all that debt, started then to expand distribution on an expanded portfolio, started to live our vision and adding in key components of what we wanted to compete in, what we wanted to be best in the world at in terms of this one-stop shop of healthy beverages. And then since that time have been starting now to integrate and build on that portfolio, launching new products and re-architecting these brands on this new, bigger platform. So that's what we've done. And we've ended up with a one-stop shop for retailers and distributors. And let me tell you, they like writing one PO. They like dealing with one company that's got the resources, got the scale, got the abilities to build their business. And we're more lucky than good. We're just kind of swimming with the tide with an entrant into each one of the growth segments. So we've done a couple of acquisitions. And that is the question for us now. What do we do from here? Do we innovate or do we acquire? And these are the three things that we look at. Simple questions. One, is it better off? And are we better off, and is there more value in continued acquisition or driving organic growth of our pipeline? The second, how hard is it? And there's always complexities with acquisitions. It always takes longer than you think to get them done. And fundamentally, acquisitions are accelerants, but at a cost. And the question is that accelerant, that incremental cost, worth it versus the timing that it takes to get through the retail sales cycle? And you know, even the best retailers take a year before they're making the decision, and you got to hit the right cycle in August or February or whenever it is. And so does that trade-off work? And this is how we've looked at it. And we've done 5 acquisitions over, kind of one a quarter, basically, in the past year plus. And these 5 things down the left, I mean, you guys will read this other stuff later in terms of the details and nuances, but the 5 things down the left are what we really look at, or what any kind of quality acquirer looks at. So is it a real strategic fit with your definition of what you want to be best in the world at? Can you pay for it? And is there going to be real value in it? And then can you do something with it in terms of driving real cost synergies or revenue synergies? And are there any intangibles? So you guys will get a copy of this, and you can see some of the details and nuances. But this is how acquirers think. And if you're a small beverage company, to make yourself attractive against that kind of model, if you're interested in being acquiring, that would be a humble recommendation. But in addition to acquiring, we've also done some innovation. So on these platforms we've purchased, we took Bucha Live Kombucha, we made it to be 9 months of shelf life and shelf stable, and that tripled the size of the business. We took Marley, completely re-architected the brand, and on that we launched the first new product in that portfolio, Marley Mate, which is an organic Argentinian kind of beverage, and now Marley Cold Brew coming out. So it's not really innovation, it's kind of mainstream innovation, if you will. Big segments where we're trying to differentiate within those segments. We took a pretty well-managed brand in Coco Libre, and we changed the sourcing away from a concentrate model to produced at the source, which ended up with for about a 35% cost reduction for us. And now we're launching Coco Libre Sparkling. So it's like the lightness of a LaCroix or a normal sparkling water, only this is 100% coconut water, sparkling, 0 sugar, sweetened with passion or mangosteen or natural fruit juice. Tastes great. Launching that now. And we use that sourcing base on coconut water to go after big segments in which you can win, where there's less competitive intensity. So this segment, there's one competitor. That competitor happens to have yellow dye number 6 and red 40 in it and a bunch of artificial ingredients. And so we believe we came up with a significantly better product in a $1 billion, not too competitively intense segment, using that source. And we used our expertise that we gained from kombucha to launch the world's first probiotic water. So this is water, tastes like water, it just happens to have 12 billion bugs in it. Fortunately, you don't taste the bugs. And they're good for you, and we're also taking Zing and taking that to the next level. So just a quick 2 charts on summary. If you are a small company or a startup company and you're looking to build it to be acquired, I would respectfully offer to change the goal. Because if you define what you want to be best in the world at and just do that, and hopefully build a cash flow positive business, because no acquirer likes to buy businesses that aren't cash flow positive. It's too much work, takes too much time to turn them around. But the value that you will get in terms of multiple is going to be infinitely higher if you're a cash flow positive, well-run business. So just define what you're going to be best in the world at or unique and drive that, and you'll be better off versus trying to build it to sell it. And then from an acquisition standpoint, we look at can we acquire it well, and we don't want to acquire it from folks that are just going to go out and buy Lamborghinis the next day and drive those to the office, or give them stock and they drive a different Lamborghini every day to the office. So we want to find the right kinds of people that want to be part of a team and want to be part of creating something special. And that's really this kind of next group. So if you're a high maintenance or a dramatic founder or a co-founder, just don't be, because nobody wants to acquire those kinds of companies. It's too hard. But you want to build the team to do something special, and those are the kinds of things we look at. So, that calculus of innovation versus acquisition, do you do those things if you are a strategic like a Coke or Pepsi, a baby strategic like us, or a small cap or startup? Do you innovate or acquire? I think the answer is yes, you do both. It's the same question we all face on our business every day. Do you drive growth or do you drive margin? And the answer there is also yes. But I would argue that's the wrong calculus. Those are the wrong questions. The right question is, do you have a clear definition of what you are going to be best in the world at, where you're going to be unique and differentiated at, and are you driving and executing against that? And if you're doing that, ultimately you're on the right track. Ultimately for us, even though we've acquired and we're going to continue to acquire, we do about 1 a quarter, our simple logic is you cannot buy your way to success. You ultimately have to put troops on the ground. You got to put the boots on the ground. You have to do the hard work to build on these platforms, to grow the business, to grow organically, and earn your way to success. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Brent, that was
Thanks,
just
Jeff.
terrific. Thank you. I like that term, baby strategic. In fact, you named the baby strategic, right?
We did. Our baby's called Coco, so thanks to Candace Crawford here for naming the brand.
How's distribution part of your platform? How does that work in the acquisition versus innovation calculus?
Well, we use our distribution as basically a cash generator. So we're kind of we own a big distributor in Colorado and kind of surrounding areas. It throws off cash, and we use that cash to fund further acquisitions or fund investment in the business. So we're lucky from a structure standpoint in that. But if you think about value from a public company standpoint or value if you're selling a business, basically distributors get measured as a multiple of EBITDA at kind of a 5 times 7 multiple of profit. Beverage companies get multipled as and purchased as a multiple of revenue. So I don't know if you guys know what the average multiple of beverage companies are over the past kind of 12 months, but it's about 2.3, 2.4 times revenue. If you're cash flow positive, you're going to get more. If you're not, you're going to get less. But that's kind of an expected multiple. But if you're driving intangible assets for shareholders like we are, we're looking at leveraging our distribution to throw off cash to fund further acquisitions.
But you're running a public company at less than $1 billion in scale. I mean, would you recommend that?
Public company period sucks, to be quite honest.
Why?
It's $1 million a year out the door. It's 40% of your time. And I don't do a very good job of it. I like running the business. I like operating the business, and that's one of the reasons our stock is only $2.50. It was 19 cents a year ago, but it could be significantly more, and we don't perform at the level of our public company peers because I'm not doing my job, honestly, from a public company CEO standpoint, to be out with the investors, out with new institutions and those kinds of things. So I really don't recommend it. The nice thing about it is it's a monetization vehicle, and I own a bunch of little private companies, and you're always putting more and more and more of your own money into it. And it's hard to get your money out unless you're selling out to a strategic. So the one value on the public side is it is a monetizable vehicle. It's a way to get your money out and monetize your investment. But it sucks still.
I wanted to turn around the acquisition question and ask you, do you think that more small companies or more growing beverage companies should think about acquiring other brands rather than their own acquisition?
I would. I mean, it depends on what your vision is, right? So anybody could have done what we did. We just did it fast, and we started with nothing, as you guys saw, deep in the hole. And my wife wouldn't let me put my own money into it. So it depends on what your vision is. We're not building this to sell. But from a big strategic acquisition standpoint, what these guys really want is proof of concept of a real individual brand, because they can then put it through their distribution systems and really get the value out of those things. So it really depends on what the individual company's vision is. But anybody could have done what we did over the past year, and we just did it.
What are the platform holes you're looking to fill now?
I don't kind of look towards the future in terms of those holes. I just look around, right? And I'm so impressed with some of these other companies to fill those voids from just looking around today, right? That being said, we do see a morphing of pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, and cosmeceuticals in the future. But the delivery system for those products, those trillion-dollar industries today, is pills or powders. Beverages are a much more efficacious way to put medicine into the body, so that's why we bought all these patents from the U.S. government and have established our health sciences division to develop cardiovascular health beverages, lose weight beverages, grow your hair back beverages. We actually have the only radiation protection product proven to protect against the effects of radiation on the planet. So
lead? You have a lead beverage?
No, not a lead beverage, but that's not good for protecting your body. But we sell a lot of radiation protection stuff in South Korea and South Dakota for different reasons, but different kinds of people, right?
So, so high function products, high functional upside, and one last question: are you always thinking about potential innovation of the brands that you're thinking about buying? Are you thinking of, would you rather see something that's already baked, or are you gonna play with the ingredients?
I think honestly, Jeff, we are indifferent. So we bought
Okay.
we bought Marley,
Yep.
knowing that it was a challenged brand, but it's got 76 million Facebook followers globally. That's twice what Starbucks has. And we knew we could re-architect it to connect it with those Marley fanatics, right? We knew we could take this coconut water sourcing base and not just do another coconut water, but use that high potassium, high electrolyte, high benefit of that base to do a lot more with. So it really depends. If we could get a great brand, unfortunately, if you get a great brand, you're paying 2 to 4 times the revenue for it. So we've paid less than 1 times revenue for these things, and then we're re-architecting them to put it through just our machine.
All right. Well, good luck with that machine.
Thanks, man. Good
Thanks
to see you.
very much.
Thanks, guys.